I love the Mario Kart series, and with Mario Kart World now being 6 months old, I figured now is a good time as any to rank the entire series. Kicking off our list at number 13 is Mario Kart Live Home Circuit. This is the ambitious AR experiment for Switch, and don't get me wrong, the concept is super cool. You drive a physical RC kart around your living room and see the tracks appear on your Switch screen. For the first few races, there is that real wow factor, like watching Mario zoom under your couch, around table legs, over your copy of Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. This game does creatively blend real and virtual worlds, and it's a blast to design your own courses at home. Well, that is in a spacious house, preferably a mansion that may or may not be inhabited by a green plumber, and kids can have a blast setting up gates and chasing pets around. Nintendo basically turned your floor into its own racetrack. Unfortunately, the novelty wears off faster than a regular mushroom boost, because Home Circuit's gameplay is, shall we say, a bit flat, literally and figuratively. Real-life floors make for pretty boring racetracks in the long run. Like, turns out a wooden floor can't match Mount Wario for thrills. The game leans on players to create the fun, but even the coolest realistic setup can't compete with Nintendo's track designers. The karts can't drift, so a core Mario Kart mechanic is gone, and it just makes the driving feel simplistic. Plus, good luck if you live in a small space or just don't have an entire clean room. Having limited floor space or lots of clutter basically ruins the experience. It sort of reminds me when I was a kid, my friends and I used to have to move the couch all the way back to the wall to play in the Kinect, but this is much more annoying. Adding connectivity lag when the cart goes out of view, and the inability to use it outdoors, and the negatives really build up here. In short, Home Circuit is a phenomenal idea, and it could definitely be fun for a short amount of time, but be honest, you probably got this as a gift, played it one time, and then never touched it again. At number 12, we have Mario Kart Tour. And like with Mario Kart Home Circuit, it sounds really great on paper. It's Mario Kart on your phone so you won't look like a nerd playing on your Switch in school, and it has tons of classic tracks and characters rotating through weekly tours. And to its credit, the game looks great for a mobile title. It has colorful graphics, classic tunes, and simple touch controls that work better than you'd expect. It's overflowing with nostalgic details and had constant updates bringing new costumes and courses. And multiplayer, eventually yes. Tour did add some real-time multiplayer races so you can finally throw red shells at friends on the go. Sounds pretty good so far, right? Well, that's where the praise runs out. Mario Kart Tour's real driving force is the gacha and microtransaction machine. Nintendo made this a free-to-start game and then went full cash grab with it. At launch, Tour had no real multiplayer and a ridiculous monetization scheme. It had a $4.99 monthly gold pass that hilariously paywalls the faster 200cc mode, plus a gacha pipe where you'd fire off rubies, which were the premium currency, hoping to randomly unlock your favorite racer or kart. Imagine having to gamble for Mario. I only gamble for Luigi. The monthly subscription and gacha mechanics is just your typical mobile game greed. The result is a Mario Kart that often feels more about grinding and paying than racing. Sure, is entertaining in short bursts and has plenty of nostalgic tracks, but when the game literally drives for you, it has karts auto-accelerate and often steer themselves, so it's aiming for the ultra-casual crowd. As a lifelong Mario Kart fan, I'll admit I had some fun with this because I was still in high school when it came out. There was this 1 week period where everyone in school was playing this, but then after that, it just became another time waster on your phone. But the reason it's so low is just the ridiculous monetization and simplified gameplay make it a distant runner-up compared to actual games in the series on consoles. Like, the gameplay might be a little better than a couple other games here, but the gacha mechanics just really bring it down. Number 11, Super Mario Kart. So this was the one that started it all on the SNES, and back in '92, Super Mario Kart basically invented the kart racing genre as we know it. It introduced staples like item boxes, power slides, the idea of Mario and friends battling on go-karts. For its time, Super Mario Kart was revolutionary. Split-screen racing with Mode 7 graphics that created the illusion of 3D track rotation. This must have been the best thing since sliced bread to 90s kids. The game gave us classic tracks like Mario Circuit, Bowser's Castle, and the original Rainbow Road. It even debuted Battle Mode, which is a fan-favorite mode. In terms of legacy, Super Mario Kart has a great one. That said, going back to Super Mario Kart now is a bit rough. It's like trading in your $300 Mario Kart you bought at the Nintendo store in New York for just some random wooden cart you found on the street. This game has not aged as gracefully as some other retro titles, and the pseudo 3D flat graphics and precision required make it one of the harder Mario Karts to just pick up and play today. The SNES era quirks are evidence, AI racers cheat like crazy, and what I mean by that is each CPU had a signature item they could just spam infinitely. Rubber banding was brutal, and single player could feel frustrating and unfair at times. And talk about track recycling, because Super Mario Kart had only a handful of themes with multiple courses that were just slight variations of each other. There's like 3 nearly identical Bowser Castle tracks, for example. Still, I gotta give Super Mario Kart its due. Like, it is the foundation of the series, and without it we wouldn't have the masterpieces that came later. It sits low in this list only because the franchise improved on the formula in virtually every way, which if anything is a compliment to how far Mario Kart has come since then. Number 10 is Mario Kart Super Circuit. Think of Super Circuit as like a portable remix of the SNES game, some new content to keep things interesting. It's pretty amazing that in 2001, Nintendo was able to make a Mario Kart on a handheld at all, and Super Circuit delivered a solid experience on the GBA's small screen. It features bright, colorful 2D graphics, and gameplay that mixes elements of Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart 64. Like, this looks significantly better than Super Mario Kart. Like, if you've heard me say in other videos, I love the graphics on the GBA. I just love what they were able to do with the graphics on that system. The track design team actually started getting creative here. Like, Super Circuit introduced new fun courses like Cheeseland, which is basically Wisconsin, Sky Garden, and Ribbon Road, and these are really good tracks that have reappeared in modern games. But perhaps Super Circuit's coolest achievement is that it includes all 20 tracks from the original Mario Kart as unlockables, on top of its own 20 new tracks. Like, that gives us a whopping 40 tracks total, and that's a number unheard of in that era. So why isn't Super Circuit higher? Well, it's basically an enhanced SNES Mario Kart, and by 2001 the series had already moved into true 3D on consoles. The GBA's hardware meant Super Circuit still uses the flat Mode 7 style, so compared to its contemporaries like Mario Kart 64, so compared to other games at the time like Mario Kart 64, the handling feels a bit old school and slippery. Like, imagine trying to drift on an ice rink. The physics here are just a little off, and while it was critically acclaimed back then, every handheld game has improved the formula, like how home consoles have improved on Super Mario Kart's formula since. Multiplayer was also very limited. Like, you could link up GBA cables for races, but it was just cumbersome and few people actually did it. In short, Super Circuit is a pretty great Mario Kart for what it is, and it does earn points for content, but with its mechanics and pretty much every game improving upon it after, it's just hard to rank it any higher than 10. In 9th place is one that some people actually may have lower, and I understand why, and it's Mario Kart Arcade, or at least the series of them. These were co-developed by Bandai Namco, and if you've ever been in a Dave & Buster's, a theme park arcade, or a Chuck E. Cheese, which is how I've mostly played these as a kid, you might have seen these big, bright cabinets with steering wheels, where Mario and Pac-Man race side by side. And yeah, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, and Blinky the Ghost are playable characters in these. The arcade games feel like Mario Kart, but with a twist. You sit in a physical kart seat, steer a wheel, and there's even a camera that sticks your face above your character via the Nam Cam. It also has a goofy mustache or hat overlays. These titles, Arcade GP, GP2, GPDX, and GPVR, introduced tons of crazy items. I think it's something like over 100 items. Like, there's tornadoes, there's giant coins, there's even 2-player co-op in GPDX, and that's kind of like Double Dash's concept in a way. Racing against your own friends on link machines, throwing punches, like literally you could punch rival karts in some versions, and hearing an announcer narrate the action gave the arcade games a distinct party-like vibe. As fun as they can be in an arcade setting, the Mario Kart arcade titles are definitely more side games rather than like main Mario Kart games. They rank low here because most fans never got to play them extensively. They were never released on home consoles, and a lot of people just have not even played these at all. The novelty of playing Mario Kart in an arcade is awesome at first, but the games themselves don't have the depth of the console entries. The games can feel a bit clunky on a wheel, and you often have to pay per race, and like, you don't even get tickets for this if you're at an arcade and trying to win as many tickets as you can. Content-wise, each arcade title has a limited set of tracks, and some are just variants to keep play sessions short. On top of that, the rarity outside of Japan means many diehard Mario Kart players just never even saw one of these cabinets. Like, I don't know if it's regional, like I've seen a decent amount of them in my life, but it's not something I've seen at every arcade I've been to. Don't get me wrong, if you find one, you should definitely play it, especially if you're with a friend. It's just really fun to drift in a physical kart seat. Just know that in the grand scheme of things, the arcade games feel more like a cool spin-off experiment. The only reason I even have it this high is because I still enjoy them more than some of the older Mario Karts, where I don't really feel like I have a reason to go back to them. Like, this is still something I would play if given the opportunity, and it's just always a blast. But in terms of the actual content of this game, it is definitely very light. Also, just for fun, I did look up how much this cost if you for some reason you wanted to get this for yourself, and the cheapest one I could find is $7,000. And that's half off from the usual $14,000 price. And if you want to get the multiplayer one with 2 of the cabinets, it's going to cost you $28,000, so it's not exactly the most accessible game to buy. And honestly, even if you had the money for that, this game works just because you're not going to play it that many times, because I feel like if you play it for a while, it would get repetitive pretty quickly. Coming in at number 8 is the one and only Mario Kart 64. For a huge number of fans, especially 90s kids, this was the Mario Kart that defined countless childhood weekends. I'm a 2000s kid, so for me, Mario Kart Wii filled this role, but Mario Kart 64 took the series into true 3D for the first time, and in doing so delivered some of the most iconic tracks and multiplayer moments in gaming history. This is a game that gave us Blockport Battle Mode, like need I say more? It introduced 4-player split screen, which was a game changer. Critics and players alike praised Mario Kart 64's multiplayer, and it was revolutionary fun for its time to have 4 players at once. It cemented Mario Kart as a party staple, and the tracks, just absolute classics here, like Moo Moo Farm, and no, not Moo Moo Meadows, Koopa Track Beach, Choco Mountain, Royal Raceway, of course with Peach's Castle there as well, and of course the notoriously long but majestic Rainbow Road 64. Many of these courses left such an impression that they've been remade multiple times. Mario Kart 64 also introduced slipstream drafting, mini turbos, and that famous item, the blue shell, ensuring first place players would never be safe again. In short, the mere mention of Mario Kart 64 is enough to summon a gaggle of millennials and have them talk about it being the best game of all time. However, as much as I love Mario Kart 64, even as someone who didn't grow up with it, I have to admit it's showing its age, and it has been showing its age for a very long time. There also were a few bumps that were present even back in the day, like the game's rubber band AI in single player Grand Prix is practically a meme now, and no matter how well you drive, CPU racers magically catch up, which can be infuriating. The physics are a bit janky and floaty, like you can go flying off into oblivion thanks to weird collision detection. And while Mario Kart 64 has all these characters available from the start, it also means there wasn't much progression or extra modes. By today's standards, solo content feels bare bones, like there's no cups beyond the main 4, no extra challenges. Technically, the graphics are blocky and the frame rate can chug in 4-player mode, but honestly those flaws kind of add to the vibe of it as a retro game in my opinion. The battle mode maps were top tier, like Big Donut and Skyscraper, though later games added more variety and options, at least a lot of them did, not all of them. The track designs are also relatively simple and empty compared to newer entries. Mario Kart 64 circuits have a lot of wide open stretches with fewer obstacles, but let's be real, this game wasn't about dense single player or flashy graphics, it was about the multiplayer fun, and it succeeded. I think it still holds up as a fun game, but I just don't really think I could have it much higher after really thinking about it. Appropriately, in 7th place is Mario Kart 7. This game had the tough job of following up the legendary Mario Kart Wii and the beloved Mario Kart DS. It did a pretty solid job, and let's start with the positives. 7 introduced some big new mechanics that became series staples, like ever wanted to fly off a ramp or drive underwater? Mario Kart 7 made it happen. It added the glider and submarine style propeller to karts, so the tracks could have airtime and submerged sections. This did allow for some very inventive course designs like this Woohoo Loop and Maku Woohoo, of course inspired by Wii Sports Resort, and even the concept of section tracks like 3DS Rainbow Road that spans planets is split into sections instead of laps. Mario Kart 7 also brought customizable karts to the mix, so you could swap out bodies, tires, and gliders to tweak your stats, and that added a fun layer of strategy to the game. The core racing is tight, the 3D effect exists, and it has a very solid roster of tracks, including retro picks like Koopa Beach and SNES Rainbow Road. There's new tracks like Music Park and Shy Guy Bazaar, and of course online multiplayer was in full swing here, with the 3DS allowing players worldwide to race and even organize communities with custom rules. All in all, Mario Kart 7 is a fantastic portable Mario Kart, but there is a reason it's not ranked higher. I think one of the big reasons why is just simply content, or the slight lack thereof. Notably, Mario Kart 7 is missing a traditional single-player versus mode, like you can just set up custom races against CPUs outside of Grand Prix, and that was just kind of a weird decision. And unlike Mario Kart DS before, there was no mission mode to satisfy solo players craving challenges, and a mission that stung those of us who love the feature in the DS version. Another negative is the character roster. Like, you're telling me Waluigi isn't here, but Honey Queen is. Like, what did Waluigi do to Nintendo to deserve this? This didn't sit well with many players who couldn't race as their mains. The game's overall polish is high, but it misses a lot of the charm of previous games. It just didn't have a crazy hook like Double Dash's 2 drivers or Mario Kart 8's anti-gravity. It had gliding, but that doesn't really work as the big gimmick. Finally, while the battle mode in Mario Kart 7 existed with some decent arenas, it wasn't particularly memorable. Like, Mario Kart 7 is a really good Mario Kart, and it checks most of the boxes, like it doesn't do anything offensively wrong or anything, but I feel like it's also just missing something. Still, if you had a 3DS, Mario Kart 7 was a must play. It's just not the absolute peak of the series. Like, I still found myself playing Mario Kart DS on my 3DS even though I had 7, I just thought it was a better game. At number 6, right after 7, we have the most divisive game in the series, and I don't think it's particularly close, Mario Kart World. I've seen people rank this as high as 1, and I've seen others say it's the worst Mario Kart ever. As you can tell, I fall somewhere in the middle. Like, some people get really nasty to you if you even have a single criticism on this game, because they'll accuse you of just being a hater or being part of a hive mind due to the controversy around the pricing of the game. But let's start with the positives. World takes full advantage of the Switch 2's hardware, looks great, plays great, has a big open world, has the most expansive character roster by a ridiculous amount. Like, look at this. You're telling me you could play as the cow here? It had fantastic music, the online works very well with minimal lag, at least in my experience. World is very far from perfect though. The intermission tracks are pretty much filler and just slow the game down, even though I don't think it's as big as an issue as some people make it. The extra 12 racers mean things tend to get very congested very often, and the luck feels way more extreme here than other games. The open world also, while visually nice, has very little to do outside the P-switches and costumes to randomly find, and this game in my opinion just does not do enough to justify the $80 price tag. World feels like a a game with a ton of potential, but it just isn't fully realized. Like, Knockout Tour is a fun mode, and I like that they're introducing a new mode, but the meta is basically to just sit back and wait for an overpowered item, compared to actually using skill to get to the front of the pack. Like, yeah, Mario Kart has always had a lot of luck, but going from first place to 24th in 2 seconds because you got sandbagged, especially when you had a decent lead, is just not a skill issue at some point. World feels a lot more like a crapshoot. Like, do I think the better players are going to win the majority of the time? Like, yeah, I think if you're good at Mario Kart, you're going to win more than someone who's bad at Mario Kart, but I still think that there is a lot of just randomness here. I think World has a lot of potential to move up if it gets proper updates and new content, but for now it's just hard for me to rank it higher than games I simply just think are more fun, which is the entire basis of this ranking. And if this video does well and has a lot of comments, I think you should just check the comments now and just see how many people have discredited this whole video or called me a hater or some other name for not calling World the best Mario Kart game ever made. Entering the top 5, we've got Mario Kart Double Dash. This GameCube classic answered the age-old question of what would happen if you doubled the amount of racers in a kart by putting 2 characters in each kart. Crazy idea, Nintendo. Of course, the core gimmick is that you pick the 2 racers per kart. One drives, the other manages items, and you could swap them at any time. This opened up a ton of strategy, and you could team up with a friend, one person driving, the other person in charge of blasting items, and that's some of the most fun co-op gameplay Mario Kart has ever had. Each character duo in Double Dash also had unique special items exclusive to them. For example, Mario and Luigi fling deadly fireballs, Peach and Daisy got a heart shield. The special items in Double Dash were wild and gave the game a lot more personality. Double Dash also delivered some of the best tracks in the series: Dino Dino Jungle, Waluigi Stadium, Mushroom City, and the simple yet brilliant Baby Park. Like, I know a lot of people hate this, but it's just fun that it's just 7 shorter laps and then the song just gets even faster each time. The sense of speed in Double Dash was great, the drift boosting is super satisfying, and overall it's a blast to play with friends. Still, Double Dash is not flawless. It's kind of a quirky entry in the series. The handling is very different from other Mario Karts. Some people absolutely love it, others absolutely hate it. I personally enjoy it. I don't think it's the best, I don't think it's the worst, but karts in Double Dash feel heavier, like it almost has like its slippery tank controls. If you came from Mario Kart 64's lighter karts, the adjustment was real. Also, because of the unique physics and emphasis on drift turbos, the skill ceiling for snaking, which is continuous mini turbo boosting, was pretty high. It's great for hardcore players, but tougher on casuals. Another point, while the 2 character setup was innovative, you could argue it was somewhat underutilized. Aside from special items in co-op, it didn't radically change racing fundamentals. In terms of content, Double Dash had a smaller track selection at only 16 courses, compared to other games in the series that have a lot more. Also note that the graphics took a strange turn here. Like, everything is super shiny, and I don't hate it, but it does look a little weird today, but I don't really think that brings this game down anymore for me. It's just a tiny nitpick. Double Dash is a fan favorite for its uniqueness and couch co-op fun. Its unconventional nature wasn't everyone's taste, and it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of newer games. That said, I'm still waiting for Nintendo to bring back the 2-driver mechanic someday, because it was a really fun concept. In 4th place, probably at least a decent amount because nostalgia, Mario Kart DS. I hold this game very close to my heart. Like, this was my first Mario Kart ever, and it truly blew me away for its ambition and content packed into just this little cartridge on the DS. It took what made the earlier games great and refined it to near perfection. First off, DS brought 32 tracks, which was huge, 16 great new courses like Waluigi Pinball, like that's one of the best courses in the entire series in my opinion, and of course 16 retro tracks pulling favorites from prior games. And like Waluigi Pinball, the new tracks were just peak here. Airship Fortress, Delfino Square, Tick-Tock Clock. The gameplay was incredibly tight and polished, precise handling, satisfying power slide turbos, and a balance of skill versus item lock that just felt right. It also introduced the blooper and bullet bill items, adding new ways to mess with opponents, and saving people who are perpetually in last place. But perhaps the coolest feature was mission mode. Mario Kart DS is the only main game with a full-fledged single-player mission mode, basically a campaign of driving challenges and boss battles. I mean, I guess unless you want to count World, but I don't really count that. It felt like Mario Kart had a mini adventure mode, and I honestly wish they do this again, but really expand on it. We also can't forget that Mario Kart DS was the first to bring online multiplayer to Mario Kart via Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. Racing people across the globe from a DS in 2005 probably had kids acting like Squidward in that one SpongeBob episode. Sure, is limited online, and it had the weird friend code stuff, but it worked. I mean, Nintendo still uses friend codes 20 years later. Locally, the DS also allowed single kart play, meaning even if your friends didn't own the game, they could join as Shy Guys on a few tracks, and I just do want to say Mario Kart 7 did have this as well. DS achieved universal acclaim for a reason. Like, it's hard to find many negatives, but like with any game ever made, there are some gripes about it, some nitpicks. Graphically, the DS hardware meant polygon counts were low and textures were pretty blurry, though at the time it didn't bother 5-year-old me, and even today I still find it very nostalgic. nostalgic. The roster was fun, including Rob the Robot as an unlockable, which was wild, but it excluded a couple fan favorites. The biggest issue, quote unquote, that arose was more in the online scene, and it was snaking. Like, highly players could utilize snaking on straightaways to gain a big advantage, and this made online races like really sweaty. If you weren't snaking, you were basically screwed. Some people loved the high skill element, while others felt it made casual online play less enjoyable. I appreciate a higher skill ceiling, as I don't want to be like as luck based as World, but I also don't want to be just a whole esport. Like, when I was in high school, I had some friends that would actually bring their DSs to school, and remember, I was in high school in the late 2010s, early 2020s, so the Nintendo Switch was out by this point, but I had friends who would bring their DSs to try and get new best times in Mario Kart DS, and they would utilize these strategies, and they would let me try and attempt one, and I couldn't even get close to it. Also, the simplicity of online play, like no matchmaking beyond basic races, and the lack of online battle mode could be seen as a downside, though it was understandable given the era. Lastly, the rubber band AI was present once again, but I mean, that's par for the course. Honestly, Mario Kart DS's pros far outweigh any cons. It had robust single player, innovative modes, classic and new tracks, and very solid racing mechanics, especially given the hardware. And the fact that it's sitting at 4 even all these years later is just a testament to how great this game is. At number 3, I have Mario Kart 8, and this is specifically the Wii U version. Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U is a landmark title in the series, and it often is cited as one of the best Mario Karts ever. And as you can see, I definitely agree. The gameplay and presentation were through the roof. This game is gorgeous. The jump to HD visuals on Wii U made tracks like Shy Guy Falls and Cloud Top Cruise look stunning, and the jazzy orchestra soundtrack is arguably the series' best. Like, Dolphin Shoals, anyone? The racing mechanics are finely tuned, and Mario Kart 8 feels as smooth as ever. I'd also introduce the signature new feature of Mario Kart 8 in anti-gravity racing. Parts of tracks let you drive on walls and ceilings, and when you bump other racers while in anti-gravity, you get a speed boost. This led to some incredibly creative track designs like Twisted Mansion or Mute City, where you're flipping upside down and barely notice because it's so seamless. The new items were fun too: Boomerang Flower, Piranha Plant, and the Mighty Super Horn, which gives you a much easier way to counter the blue shell. Mario Kart 8 also brought back bikes from Mario Kart Wii and refined the vehicle customization from 7, so there was a lot of choice in how you drive. The roster was expanded, like all the Koopalings joined the race, and the game initially shipped with a sizable 32 tracks, plus later added 16 more as DLC, and included amazing crossover tracks like F-Zero's Big Blue, Zelda's Hyrule Circuit. Also, Link and Animal Crossing characters became playable here. In terms of core racing, Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U was near perfection, but now we do have to address the elephant in the room, the battle mode, or should I say the lack of a proper one. And perhaps Nintendo's biggest mistake in this game, 8's battle mode was essentially unplayable, as it bizarrely took place on repurposed normal racetracks rather than true arena courses. Picture doing a balloon battle on the massive Yoshi Valley circuit, driving around aimlessly trying to find opponents. Yeah, it was not fun. Fans universally panned this decision. The battle mode was criticized in nearly every review. It's like Nintendo forgot half the fun. Aside from that, Mario Kart 8 didn't have many flaws. Like, most of the complaints are minor. We missed some great characters here, and we got Pink Gold Peach and Middle Mario for some reason instead of fan favorites. The item balance in Mario Kart 8 also changed with the new item slot system. Like, you couldn't hold an item behind you and still pick up another, which slightly altered defense fight, but these are very minimal. The real issue with Mario Kart 8 is not something that even brings it down in the ranking, but it's just that it launched on the Wii U, so it had a very limited user base, even though this game I think was the best-selling Wii U game. But those of us who did play it loved it. The online community was small, but still very passionate about this game. And in terms of this ranking, putting Mario Kart 8 at 3 because it laid the groundwork for everything Mario Kart 8 Deluxe would become, and has nearly everything you could want: just brilliant track design, top-notch gameplay, online racing, time trials, tournaments, beautiful graphics. Really, its one letdown was just a decent battle mode. As the runner-up, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Deluxe is essentially Mario Kart 8 the complete edition. It has all the original content, all the DLC, and a bunch of new extras that make it an already stellar game truly shine. Let's start with the biggest fix here, a real battle mode. Nintendo completely overhauled the battle mode for Deluxe and gave us 8 proper battle arenas, and multiple battle game types, including classics like Balloon Battle, Bomb Blast, Shine Thief, Coin Runners, and an awesome new Cops and Robbers mode called Renegade Roundup. Suddenly, battle mode went from Mario Kart 8's weakest aspect to one of the highlights. It also introduced being able to hold 2 items at once, which was originally in Double Dash, and obviously came back in World. Plus, they brought back the Boo, like the item, and the Feather in battle mode for some retro callbacks. And what else is new in Deluxe? We got 6 additional characters added on top of an already huge roster, including fan favorites like Bowser Jr., King Boo, Dry Bones, even the Inkling from Splatoon. All the DLC tracks and characters from the Wii U, like Link, Villager, Isabelle, they're all here from the start, and it gives this game a massive lineup of over 42 characters and 48 tracks right out of the box. And that was just at launch. Nintendo later blew this out of the water with the Booster Course Pass, adding 48 more retro tracks to Deluxe, brought the total to over 96 tracks by the end end of it all. Deluxe also added some helpful novice-friendly features like auto accelerate and smart steering, which I personally didn't use myself, but I can understand why maybe like a young kid would find this useful, and I think that accessibility options are good in games. Like, a lot of people complain about it, but I think as long as it's just optional and can help more people have fun with the video game, I don't think it's a bad thing. So basically, this was just the complete version of one of the most popular games on the Wii U, if not the most popular, and then the result was Deluxe became the best-selling Switch game, and to this day, it's sold something like 70 million copies, something ridiculous like that. Like, it's one of the best-selling games of all time. Is it absolutely perfect? No, I don't think any game is truly perfect, but it's pretty close. You might say it's too similar to Mario Kart 8, and yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the whole point. So if you're looking for something a lot different than the original, you're not really going to get that here. You're going to get additional content, but I have absolutely no complaints here. And at number 1 is Mario Kart Wii, which was just the perfect storm of chaotic fun, innovation, and of course nostalgia for me. It was my first Mario Kart I was really competitive in. I mean, alongside DS. And even years later, Mario Kart Wii holds up as an absolute blast. And why do I and many others consider it to be the greatest Mario Kart? Let's start with the groundbreaking additions it brought. It introduced motion controls, especially with the Wii wheel, and say what you will about motion controls, but it made the game just a lot more fun in my opinion. It was just very intuitive, and I don't mind using an analog stick like in Mario Kart World or something, but it was definitely a lot of fun. It was also the first game to expand to 12 racers per race, and I think that was the perfect amount. I think 8 was kind of small. I think 24 is too many. Like, with 12 players, getting through the first lap without being hit by something is an achievement, and it also doesn't feel crowded at the same time. This was also the entry that gave us bikes for the first time, and bikes weren't just a novelty, but they introduced new mechanics like wheelies for speed boost and inside drifting that hardcore players mastered to time trial perfection. Wii's track lineup was stellar. Like, it has classics like Mushroom Gorge, which is one of my personal favorites as a kid, Koopa Cape, Maple Treeway, DK Summit, Wario's Gold Mine, of course Coconut Mall, and the retro track selection was the first to pull from every past console entry, giving us fan favorites like Peach Beach, Waluigi Stadium, Bowser's Castle, and 64. The rest was huge for its time also, like 24 characters, including newcomers like Rosalina, Dry Bowser, Baby Daisy. Yeah, I guess not all these were the best additions, but unlocking characters and bikes by beating cups and time trials felt rewarding and kept me playing for a long time. But what really makes a Mario Kart game is the multiplayer, and Mario Kart Wii nailed it. Like, local 4-player was as fun as ever, and the game had a pretty robust online play via Nintendo Wi-Fi connection, up to 12 players worldwide, and mostly smooth racing. Wasn't perfect because obviously it was on the Wii, and it did have a simple rating system that kept you racing to improve your score. I didn't really play the online much in this because I didn't really have great Wi-Fi at the time, but I can't tell you how many times I went to a friend's house and played this, how many times I had a friend over and played this. Like, if you ask anyone my age about Mario Kart Wii, like, they'll tell you their favorite character, they'll tell you their favorite track. This is just something, just no matter how big or little of a Nintendo fan someone is, they played Mario Kart Wii if they were born in the early to even late 2000s. Even now that the servers are gone, Mario Kart Wii still has a very active community. Like, there's fan servers, there's mods for it, and also this game I feel like has some of the tightest racing in the series and actually has a pretty high skill ceiling while feeling fair. Like, while some games feel too luck based, Mario Kart Wii definitely feels more rewarding. Like, more often than not, the best player is going to win in this, and something like Mario Kart World, while I think the better players are going to win most of the time, it feels like there's also a huge element of luck, like more than I think there should be. But now we got to talk about drawbacks. Like with every game, Mario Kart Wii can be unbalanced and chaotic even by Mario Kart standards. Like, the game's competitive balance was very skewed, and there were just some vehicle combos that were just far better than anything else. So you pretty much just see like Funky on a bike like literally every time at the highest level. Also, the default battle mode was only team-based, like no free-for-all option, and that wasn't the most popular decision. Graphically, it wasn't a huge improvement from Double Dash, and the graphics here actually do look a little weird. And objectively, you could try and argue that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a more polished game, and I think it's more polished. There are still a lot of people that prefer Wii like myself, and not even just for nostalgia reasons. Like, I'm not gonna lie and say that has nothing to do with it, but a lot of people just prefer like the more skill-based aspects of Mario Kart Wii. A lot of people like the shortcuts. A lot of people just really like the vibe this game has. Like, honestly, this was really tough for me. Like, I went back and forth if I wanted to have Wii and 8 Deluxe at number 1, and honestly, it might change someday. Like, I'm not too confident in this pick because I think it is incredibly close, but I think I do like Mario Kart Wii just a little bit better, and that's all this ranking is. It's just ranked on the Mario Karts that I think are the best and the worst. Like, it's not meant to say that any of these games are objectively the best. Like, as someone who grew up with the series and started with Wii and DS, I can understand maybe if you're older than me that maybe you prefer Double Dash or 64. Maybe if you're younger than me, you prefer Mario Kart 7 or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, maybe even Mario Kart World. And there's no correct answer. Like, pretty much all these games are very high quality. They're all just about fun. I know a lot of people get very upset from my rankings, but I'm just a stranger on the internet talking about Mario Kart games, so there's nothing to get upset about. If you disagree with me, just let me know your ranking in the comments. Let me know why you think your favorite Mario Kart game is your favorite, because I'd love to hear your reasonings. If you did enjoy this video, I'd appreciate if you'd like and subscribe, as I'm trying to reach 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and also consider joining my Discord. Thank you for watching Domainy, and I'll see you next time.